Welcome to the Jords FTTV YouTube channel. Today we have our team reveal for 2024. So always exciting to get into that, and yeah, favorite video to do for the year. So I can't wait to share the team and a few pods in there. So hopefully not disappointed, but yeah, fair bit's changed after this practice game, and I don't know if that's a good thing. It's usually a bad thing. So regardless, we'll try and explain and stuff like that and go through it. First, I want to plug our Discord. I think nearly almost 3,000 members, and I think nearly 8 million messages have been sent in the history of the Discord. So it's pretty active, and yeah, everyone, if you're welcome to come join, get involved in the community, talk SuperCoach, share your team, join a league, talk just general life stuff or other sports, whatever. We have sections for everything in our Discord, so I do encourage to join. If you haven't subscribed, that would be great if you want to see videos throughout the year. So we'll do weekly videos, podcasts, and maybe a few in between as well. So feel free to subscribe. Not just to me, get around. We're a small community, small YouTuber. Yeah, pretty small user base or viewer base for us. So in liking and subscribing to not just me, to all the other YouTube subscribers, content creators would be great for us. So we appreciate that. And yeah, we'll get straight into the team. So I think that before we get into the team, we'll talk about SuperCoach this year. It's a fascinating year because there's so many options. I do think that teams are sort of, maybe it's just our Discord. I don't know what the communities are doing, but it does feel like teams have, before the second practice game, teams looked pretty different everywhere. Whereas after this practice game, a few players have forced themselves in. So it is looking a little bit similar, but there's still a few, like what premium mids do you want to run? Premium defenders are looking pretty similar. A few people have jumped off Grundy. Forward lines looking sort of similar. I think the main one would be if people want Fife or holding their nerve on Flanders, although I think most people have jumped off, but we'll see that for round 0. So this is a pre-round 0 team, so I'll do another quick one after round 0, but this will be the main one, so should be less changes after round 0. So we'll see how we go. D1 this year, I've gone with Nick. I wouldn't be too afraid to not own him because he looks like he's going to cop Finn McGuinness in round 4. I think Sam Mitchell said today that they'll use him when they need him, something like that. For me, I'm struggling with defender options. I've got 4 that I like. I've got a 5th one that I like that I'm not starting, but we'll get to that in a second. But Nick is Nick. He scores better in a CBA role, and that's what he's got. So, yeah, the buys, whatever. It'll be annoying, but it'll be annoying to also not own Nick Dacos. So, and I just fear if I pick someone else in this spot and they don't do as well while Nick just goes on an absolute tear, then it's just it will feel terrible. So we'll start Nick. I don't think you have to start him, but he's just too good. So it's Nick. So Sicily's been in my team all preseason, and I've been scared off a little bit. I'm not as bearish on Sicily as a lot of others at the moment. They're still playing the 2. I think it will be Phillips and Frost, or someone can like a Jice Wrong, or I think Scrimshaw's trained a bit key position, can sort of jump in that spot. But I think Sicily will still play that 3rd loose tall. On the weekend, didn't score well against Lob. Lob's like the tallest 3rd tall out there, basically. So I wouldn't panic too much on Sicily. There is a lot of changes in that back line. So new key position players, new flankers, like Hardwick. Is he forward? Is he back? They want him forward, but they sent him back in the practice game. I think we'll just let it settle, and Sicily, if he bottoms out and looks a bit messy, I think that's the time you jump on, because he's James Sicily. In my opinion, best defender in the league. Okay, maybe you can maybe Sam Taylor's better and maybe 1 or 2 others, but I think he's at least top 3 defender in the league for Sicily. So big fan, but don't have him. We've got Stewart. So Stewart, there's just a little bit less going on around Stewart. Maybe Holmes goes back, but I think they can sort of use Holmes everywhere. The slight concern is that he's a little bit older now, but yeah, the role is just too easy. So, and he's too good at the role. 5-time All-Australian in the role. So he's in for now. Well, he's in, not for now. He's in, so I'm not too worried about his subpar practice game, but he's in. So, and then you look at what other players you can get here, like Luke Ryan. I don't know, just never really been confident in Ryan, and I think the Freo game style should probably change at some point. Sinclair's not going to play, it seems. Houston, I looked at. I haven't considered Houston all year, but Port's run 6 of the first 8 games at home, Adelaide Oval, is pretty nice. 9% ownership's not too bad for Houston, so I've thought about it, but I haven't really considered him all preseason, so I didn't really want to throw him in. So yeah, I think the kick-ins are low, but he scores well off half-back. They feed him the ball. He pushes up really high, kicks inside 50. I think it'll be a good pick, but I'm not going to go there. Next, I have Sheasel. Now, who scores more out of Sheasel in Houston? Not sure, but I just kind of feel more comfortable with Sheasel for that little bit cheaper as well. So for whatever reason, I just prefer Sheasel. And halfback role looks really good. No Zeeble, although Fisher might take up a fair bit of the ball if his body can hold up. If it doesn't hold up, then Sheasel will have a field day. But he looks good. He's one of the most talented players in the league on kick-ins, and North defenders are always nice. So went overseas and stuff this preseason, so hopefully we see a bit of improvement from him. Very exciting prospect for North. And next one is Hayden Young. So I took him out for a week, but he was in the team the entire preseason, so an overreaction. But I saw pure mid, and I'm concerned for the other mids around him. It's more Brayshaw, but yeah, they got to play mid. He looked too good in that role, and he could be the best of the three of them, the Young, Brayshaw, and Sarong. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So he looks really good. Tackles, beautiful kick as well. And yeah, it was pretty damaging. Could sit in the scoreboard. Could have had 5 goals, I think. So something like that. Was it 2 goals, 3 or something like that? Or maybe it was lower than that. I can't remember. But maybe it was 2 goals, 1. I can't remember. But regardless, he passed the eye test with flying colours, and he's trained there all preseason. Massive junior numbers. He's a midfielder now, so I don't see him playing halfback unless sort of like a Will Day last year. They get a few injuries or things a bit unsettled back there. They might throw him back there for a bit, which is fine because he can do 90 in that role. But majority he'll be mid, and I think he can do 105 plus. Although it might be hard with the other mid, so maybe more 100 to 105. But so those are my premium defenders. I have no mid prices in this. Now, the news today is Zach Williams is playing. I'm leaving him out for now, which might sound silly, but let's get a look at him, and if he forces his way in, then I'll pick him, but I'm not sure what we're going to get from Williams with pretty limited preparation, so we'll get a look at him, and I sort of have a plan to get him if I need to in round 4, because he does have that first bye. So my rookies are, I think the best one is Zach Reed. 205 centimeter key defender. He's taken heaps of marks, which is a big positive, although the whole Essendon defenders seem to love that in preseason games. He is not really fieldable, but I think you can get away with it because we're only going to most likely need it 2 out of the first 6 rounds, given players dropping off. Although Dacos one of those players dropping off, so he's a lock. I think I'll field him. The next one I'll field is Caulfield. Again, one that I don't really want to field, rather bench, but if I'm picking another player, it's either Kadeen Coleman, who's injury prone. I don't know if I want Kitty. He's got the bye as well, but I think he's good value, but not a top 6, so we need to be traded. And the other one was Houston I was looking at. I'm not sure on Houston. I don't have the best read on him. I didn't really want to pick Houston, and his floor games are so bad, but his ceiling games are massive, so maybe he's one you jump on after some bad games. Also have Gibcus. I'm not too fussed. Geez, he's 52% owned. I'm not too fussed with Gibcus. Like, if you need money, I think you can go down to like a Phillips or a Pink. It might be worth noting Core is out, so worth looking at the injury list and who goes out for. Is it Pink? Is it Biggie? down back for North, but I don't have Pink at the moment, but I don't mind him. I've gone Ethan Phillips. I can't remember my remaining salary, but I think I needed the money. So I've gone, Gibcus and Phillips. I think Reed and Gibcus have great job security. Caulfield should be fine if he performs. And with Phillips, he can win a bit of the ball. He averaged 72 in the VFL. I have to remember he was playing a bit more of a free role in the VFL, whereas now he needs to take the gorillas in the forward line or against the forwards. I think Frost gets dropped first. I think. I was just reading Big Footy, and that's sort of what I was reading, but I'm not sure. So maybe if you're a Hawthorn supporter, you can enlighten me here, but pretty new to the club, so it might be hard to know. But that's my 4 defenders. I'd happily drop one to get another premium if Sicily was looking really good or the defense was less messy. I'd probably go there, but I just would rather. I think Sicily will be fine, but I just want to let that defense settle. So, that is that. That's my defense. It's okay. Like, I'm happy with the premiums. I'm not really happy with the. Like, I'm happy to run one of these guys on field, but not really two. But I think best 18s has a bit of a say in that, so I'm not gonna overly stress about it. Now, the midfield line, as we'll reset that filter. This is good because people can pick whoever they want. There's some people jumping on Oliver late. His ownership's jumped now that he's playing. I wouldn't go there personally off limited preseason. I think that's very... It's one thing to have limited preseason and be underpriced. It's another to be max price or close to it and limited preseason. I think it's far too risky, and yeah, I definitely wouldn't, especially with the buy. I think it's mad to pick Oliver, but I can't endorse it at all. Even if he goes well round 0, it's crazy to me that people are considering him. But yeah, like, pick whoever you want. I'm not big on Laird this year. I think regression is coming for him. Combination of age and Berry and Crouch and Dawson being in there and Rankin. So sharing the load a bit more, plus age. So he's definitely out for me. And I don't think he'll be a top 8 this year. Merritt's fine. Could get Finn McGuinness round 1. Like, people jumping on Libba, 7%. That's not bad. I guess age is always the worry for him, but wasn't a concern last year, so it might not be this year. So he's fine. And Dawson I really like. So the few here that, Butters, I guess, slight concern, but there's a lot of great options here that you'd be happy with, a lot of them. So, but none other than King, Marcus, Bontempelli at M1. It's hard because you don't really want to, unless it was like Gary Ablett back in the day, you don't really want to pay this much for players. I guess SuperCoach, like the way the game's going, it's all trades are worth less and value in terms of price is more valuable, I guess. So, and Bont's very expensive. You'll get him cheaper, so don't be afraid if you don't want him. He's just too good and one of my favourite players to watch. Got to have a dog's mid every year, just as long as we can, and he's just Bont. Like, what else can I say? He's the king. So, Bontempelli is in, and he's might have a quick suss of captains. Maybe not. Worry about that closer to the date, but he'll probably be the main captain. But captains will be hard because it's unless you're going real value. We've got Gorn, we've got Dacos, we've got Bont. If you like Errol against like a weak matchup, if you got like a player versus West Coast like Port in round 1, and we probably don't have a loophole in round 1 either. So I think I'll just stick it on Bont and just chill. But you could pivot certainly to Dacos. I don't know, whoever else you got in the team, Max Gorn. So yeah. M2, don't have Dawson at the moment, but he's the one I like, and I think I've picked him in other formats. I can't remember if he's in my fantasy team or not, but he's in my sports deck team, but don't have him at the moment, but I really want to pick him. But I have enough Crows plays, which I'll get to shortly, as a spoiler. Got Errol. Jesus, he's 38% owned. That's higher than I thought. So I think I have the 2 highest owned mids. Is it maybe a preseason reaction? I think for the past 2 weeks, or at least a week ago, I said I was tossing up between Errol and Dawson. I've gone Errol for money, I think, and I have probably the most imbalanced midfield that you'll see in this game. So we'll get to that soon. His fixture's just like not, it's just ridiculous. So he's got the 3 of the main mids. Basically, the starting midfield is out the side in the first month, and there's like West Coast. There's basically teams he went 140, 150 on. He has them all in the first month. So he has the buy, and then he might have a Finn McGuinness tag 2 weeks after that. So like, I don't think I'll sell, but if he gets to a ridiculous price, you could consider it, but that's crazy talk. I think in the world of 40 trades, there's a few little things you can do, but that's sort of the move you don't really like. Round 5, round 6, kind of you want to start upgrading, not sidewaysing stuff. So he shares with Dacos, so we're going to cop a bit of a hit this round, but I think we can cover Gordon just fine. We'll get to that shortly. M3. Okay, a lot of these big guys look really good, but there's too much value in the midfield. There's like, they're not keepers. Maybe 1 or 2 of them are, but there's cheap guys who I think have 15, 20 points of upside, and I want to pick that in this 40 trade format. So I think we'll sort by ownership, see what they're at. So we're going to start Nicholas Martin, 19%. That'll keep going up. We'll start Nick Martin. I saw this game, and I saw a role where he just did whatever he wanted. He started at halfback. He still was getting marks in the forward line just by drifting. Wherever the ball was, he was back of the stoppage, trying to get handball receives. His kicking, it's mostly good, but he can have like some bad turnovers, but he just gets the ball so much that it's going to happen. If he gets 30 touches a game, he might fluff a few, but most of them will be good. The thing I really like about Martin is that he's clearly like a hard worker. Like when all the Bombers went to Amsterdam, he was at home training a few years ago, and massive tank, and clearly like, yeah, I don't know, the waffle form, the waffle numbers weren't that great back when he was playing that, and now he's just turned into like a mini Nick Dacos, or not really mini because he's taller, but he's taken that role, and it looks like he can do it in that role. So I think he can be around the top 6 mark. He might be a slightly better fantasy pick than SuperCoach, but regardless, he'll get DPP, and you know, you could push him to D7. Not saying that he'll be a D7, like he could come into your field and cover your midfield if you have like a 7th defender, so whoever that may be. So Nick Martin is in. The next player that I have, he's been in my team basically the entire preseason, and I have to do it. It is a Crows player. It's only 7% owned. It's Matt Crouch. The first thing I'll say on this pick is I'm slightly worried of his time on ground. They're playing Berry now. They're playing Dawson Laird, and Crouch here too, and Rankin. So historically, he's been a 75 average TOG player. I have a feeling that's going to go down a bit, just with the way the team and the amount of mids that we have, even if they want to give Rochelle a few minutes too. But he looks unbelievable, and he's had a great preseason. He's raring to go, and yeah, what was it, the first half of the game? I think he was on 70 or 80 in the practice game. It's West Coast, but he's probably more of a SuperCoach scorer than a fantasy scorer at the moment, like lots of contested ball, and probably won't accumulate as much as he used to. Still will accumulate a lot, but I think it's less the backwards hand passes, more trying to drive the ball forward or dish it out to Dawson. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this pick, and he's looked fantastic. So 490k, has the last buy, so hold on to him for as long as we need. Don't think he's must have at all. I think the time grant's a bit of a concern, but he's a points per minute machine, so he's in. And yeah, he's been in my team all preseason basically, and he's been good value. So he's in. The next player has not been in my team. The next 3 players have not been in my team the entire preseason, so we've made some changes here. And that is Oliver Wines. Ken Hinkley says Ollie Wines is back to his best. So I think he said we'll see the best of Ollie this year. I don't know about Brownlow Ollie. We know that the midfield's a little bit more crowded this time around. Like, he's not just him and Boak and Rosie Butters getting a few rotations. It's more, it's not those days of Wines and Boak, but now it's pretty much the top 4 are all really good, and don't know who's better than the others, but I think Ollie will be in that midfield and might even be the number 1 mid for CBAs. We know Butters and Rosie can play forward a bit, and so can Horn Francis, so he's going to be an important part of that midfield. They needed to fit Ollie Wines against the Giants a few months ago in the final series pretty badly, so last year, limited preseason, bit of wing time. That CBA should jump by 20% hopefully, and 4 preseason rank to go, point to prove. Ollie's in, and I want a piece of this Port Adelaide fixture, 6 of the first 8 at Adelaide Oval, and I think there's West Coast in there somewhere from memory, which we like. So we like this compromise competition. All right, it gets worse. M6 is... I wonder what his ownership is. Why do we have Riley Bonner? I don't know what we're doing. Wait till you get to the next one. It's going to be an even lower owned player. I ran the numbers, put it into the spreadsheet, and in 2023 he played wing, hence why he's a mid. So I'm going to not completely ignore that scoring. 2022, when you take out his 3 sub games, he averaged 82. And I'm guessing Houston was back there and Ryan Burton was back there too. So Bonner might have been the 3rd in line as 3rd flanker. Right now, he's probably going to be 3rd behind Nass and Sinclair, but Sinclair's role can change throughout the game, and Sinclair said he's pushing for round 1. I got the vibe that it's round 2 or 3. So just because they have a short break, I don't think round 1 and round 2, the Saints have a 5-day break. So it might not be the smartest thing to play Sinclair that round. So we might get one round of Bonner being one of the key distributors of halfback. And what that looks like with Sinclair, I think, if he was the 3rd guy before and he averaged 82, I think that's what you're going to expect from him, 82. He's like, I've sort of forced him in, and I don't think it's a good idea because I could easily be running a Zach Williams down back, and that's something we'll assess. But I kind of just want Bonner, and I don't really trust. Like, I don't know what Williams' fitness is like. I don't like. He's still sharing with like Newman. Newman's back there, Sard's back there, Doc's back there. So like Williams might only do 75, 80 off this limited preseason anyway, whereas you can probably get a 60 from a rookie. But Williams can have spike games where you know that you can get like a 30 touch. I think he's like a few 130, 140 games. So missing out on that would be disastrous. But we saw Bonner went 130 on the weekend, turned up the week before, and rejuvenated. So yeah, I don't know if I've made the right. I think I'm just getting baited by preseason, but regardless. Speaking of getting baited by preseason picks, so this next pick has to be done, and it's a little bit for content. It's a little bit because he's a favorite of the channel. I hyped him up. Oh, he's jumped up to 4%. I have to pick Sam Berry, and this is a mess because I've spent an extra 200k on the bench at the moment. It's a mess, but Sam Berry, he looks so good. First practice game, outstanding. I was worried about the crouch pick because that's how good Berry played. It was the intra-club, I guess, but second game, he only played, I believe, half or so of the game against Port, so I couldn't really get much of a read from him on that game. Thought he was like okay, wasn't like super impressive, but sort of was in and out the game a lot. They were just heavily rotating mids non-stop. And this game against West Coast, it's annoying that it was against the Eagles, but man, he looked good. There was fend-offs, there was running into goals, there was big marks. He is so powerful and strong. Like, you got to see it. Like, you'll see it if you do watch Crows games, but yeah, he's as strong as an ox. Now, let's be real here. Let's talk about the role. It's probably going to be a 30 to 40% midfield to forward split. I don't have a proper read on this. A lot of his scoring, he scored more when all the players were on the ground, like when before Crouch and Dawson in the second half of the practice game, they were mostly bench, whereas they played most of the first half, which is when Berry scored better. I don't know, he just looks so good, and I think he's going to get forward DPP, and he could be like an 85 average, or even work his way into the season and average more if CBAs go up, but it's just a bit of a logjam in there, especially with Rankin, so he's probably going to be the 4th or 5th in line for CBAs. I think 4th and Rankin will be 5th, just because Rankin can play that high half forward, but I don't think, people were asking me in the Discord, what's the appeal of Berry? Why are you picking him? And I'm like, just let me pick him in peace. I don't know. I just like him a lot. And this game, I think you got to pick players you like. Because I don't know. I would, if I swap him out for Zach Williams, which would make the team structure look so much better. I love Sam Berry. I don't like very injury-prone players in Zach Williams of limited preseason, so I just like Sam Berry a lot better. So he's in. I don't recommend this structure. It's just because I just like Berry so much. So look, he's in. We'll have fun with it. And honestly, we're going to get so screwed by rookie roulette with this setup. So the next rookie is the most, I guess he's rising star. I think he's second favourite, but I think he'll be favourite in no time, is Riley Sanders. And yeah, he looks great. And the encouraging thing is the way he ran out the game with very little, if any, CBAs against Hawthorn. So yeah, when I was watching his highlights, I thought this is my favourite player from the draft. Certainly not trying to claim him, no way. Pretty easy to claim a guy with 35 touches a game. But yeah, he looks great, and you can sort of see the burst from stoppage to the running goals and stuff like that. That's like, we've seen all that in his draft highlights package. So, and the thing that we love it most about, well, I guess for fantasy purposes, is his work rate. He's the first to get on his bike to get to the next contest. That is perfect for SuperCoach or fantasy football, because he's going to be around the ball more. He's outstanding, and he's probably, I think he's the 4th mid, I reckon, with they'll probably run Trelaw more in there, but wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a starting mid at some point. So we got Sanders. Next, we got Colby McKercher on the bench, and we've still got another 180k player on the bench. I am not sure about this on the bench. This seems like a monumental waste to not use him on the field with everyone else. With Fisher and Sheasel back there, and they also got Goda back there who scored okay. I'm not sure there's enough ball for McKercher, especially this first matchup versus GWS away. I think I'm okay benching him. But this is rookie roulette, and it's frustrating, and I've left Nick Martin's 130 and Jack Hayes' 100 or whatever it was. What else have I left? I've left Gordon's 140 on the bench. Like, it happens. But I think Bonner's a better pick than McKercher, to be honest. Maybe not at that price. If they were equal price, easily Bonner. But I think Bonner's that seasoned body, and who's better for the when considering price? I'm not sure, but I've got both anyway. So McKercher's in. I think everyone's got to pick him basically. But I think we saw he can sort of have a floor game against the Saints, who are supposed to be easy to score against. So he's in, and then where is the being compared to Henry? Pendlebury, Henry Husway, and the other one is Jai Clark. So I've dropped Sharp. This is so much money on the bench. This is absurd. But this is what happens when you want to get preseason heroes and Berry and Bonner in. Like, why am I doing this? I don't know. But I just like him. And I think that we've got numbers to work with Bonner in the past. And I just really like Sam Berry. So I'm just picking him. So 2020 is not a bad price. But look, Husway looks great, moves really well for a big dude. In yeah, a lot of Pendlebury comparisons going around with Husway, and that's what it says on his draft profile. And you can sort of see it. Obviously, not calling him Pendlebury, but you can see the attributes, which or similarities to attributes. So he didn't run out the game super well. His TOG was only 73. I think I want him on field because he's going to ton for sure at some point. Might even be round 1. So he scored 80 against the Dogs, who are one of the toughest midfield matchups when Bont and Libba flicked the switch, or Bont flicked the switch in the third quarter. Midfield got hammered, so he's in. I don't want to miss out on him. I think you want to move him to your bench when Day comes back, because right now he's 50% CBAs, and we saw last year with Hawthorn CBAs, they sort of fluctuated everywhere. Like 1 week Cam McKenzie's getting him, then Ward's getting him, and then like Warple might have a drop. It was the first few rounds was quite messy for CBAs, so I'm not sure. Like Huswaite's not going to be a starting mid, I think, but he did get 50% in the practice game. So I think I'm more than happy to field him, but when Day's back, maybe better for bench because the CBAs will drop, but still, like, you could probably do worse, but he looks good. Then Jai Clark, I think he just has to play, and, Guthrie, so high pick. They want to pump games into him, so he's my bench. I don't have Sharp. I think Sharp is a fine pick, but I'm not as confident in Sharp as I am with everyone else here. Probably Phillips. Like, not super confident in Phillips, to be honest, but not super confident in Sharp either. But just the way we're structuring up. So, yeah. Pretty laughable how much I've spent on the bench here, but this is what happens when you make priority for bloody Bonner and Berry. So, who I'm going to field round one? Don't know. It won't be McKercher in that matchup, but it could. It could be bad, it could be good. So, moving on to the ruck line. Got a lot of money to spend. So obviously we're picking Max, and we've got no speaker English, Tim English. I had Grundy the whole way, now I have English. Off a preseason game. We'll watch Grundy in round 0. There's no way he's not solo rucking, surely not. With Grundy, I do question his, I don't know if competitiveness is the right word. It just seems that he's just not, like, maybe he's had motivational issues along the way. I'm not sure he's ever recaptured that drive that he maybe once had. Whereas I think Gorn's just a killer, and obviously we're all picking Gorn, I think. And then Tim English is just a scoring machine. So I don't think he'll do 128. I think it might be low 120s, and I'm okay with that if he's a top 2 ruck, just because of how much he does around the ground. So it's interesting because with the new rules, like Shrek and Briggs can play bully ball. Like Ron Marshall had 12 hitouts against Cherry, for example. So it'll be hard for Marshall to back up his year. But if I can lock away what I think will be the top 2 rucks, sort of had English. I think I had Marshall as above English, but maybe I changed my mind. I think every now and then I think the CBAs might drop for English for Lob, but regardless, I think it'll even out, and I think he'll go low 120s English, and Gorn as well. One spike game and he'll hit 700k. So not only that, if things happen in the ruck, then it's just a one trade fix. Using multiple trades in the ruck just makes it ruins seasons, to be honest. And I've had that last year. There were other issues last year, but that was one of the factors early. Going from Shrek to Camera and then finding 2 trades to English while I couldn't correct the rest of my team, which needed correcting. And then a few years ago, I went Naismith instead of Gorn, and that was awful. So it's good in round 1. Naismith scored 100, but then he did his ACL, and Gorn went ballistic. So is what it is. And then our R3 is Naismith. I don't know if he plays or not, and I don't think we'll get anyone else. Maybe like Livingston, who scored negative, but if we don't get Naismith, I might just pick him anyway, just in case I have to correct the trade, because I think he'll play throughout the year. And Nank with plantar fasciitis, whatever it's called, issues, might not be, might have to play at some point. So that's my ruck line. Should I be going Grundy? He's the only one I'm considering. It's Gorn, Grundy, it's English or Grundy at the moment. And I just figure if I can use one less trade in here, that'd be great. But remember, Grundy was scoring 130s when he was solo rucking, so last year. So I am conscious of that, and I am kind of worried about no Grundy, but okay, we'll look at him round 0. Oh my god, Fife's 51%, Jordan 46, interesting. Sexton's 44, it's crazy. No one could have predicted that, but the forward line is a bit of a, I don't know if it's a hellhole, but it's a weird one this year. We had all these nice, wonderful stars to pick from last year, and now we're picking like speculative mid prices that are like semi good roles, and it's weird. Old players and fringe players. It's a weird one this year, which makes it better for the game. So, our F1 we have caved, like we have folded basically. We got Zach Fisher. The role is too good. Now, he played the Saints, who are easy to score on, so I'm not going to expect whatever he scored, like 140 or whatever, but he has a ceiling. North defenders just score lots of points, kick-ins. I thought he played good. I was concerned that he wasn't going to play well because the defensive issues and can turn it over a fair bit, which I think can happen, will probably happen throughout the year. Might be a bit of a frustrating one there and now and again, but he's too hard to pass up for that price, and 2 hamstrings in the preseason. I feel a little bit sick picking that, but I think we learned last year from Tim English, if they have a few injuries in the preseason, they only spend a few weeks out of training and they have massive upside, it's probably worth it. So Fisher's in. Learned my lesson with English, and if Fisher goes down, then I think most people will pick him. I think we'll just go down with the ship. I don't want to miss out, and he will score massive, and not have him will be frustrating, because then you got to like trading in injury prone players. That's what kills you, and I've done that in the past. I traded in Darcy Cameron and Finn Callahan in the same week last year, and they both got injured immediately, and it just really derailed what I was trying to do early in the year. So year before that, I traded in Aaron Hall, injured straight away. So trading in injury-prone players, like when it goes wrong, it's rough. So I don't really want to do that again, make those mistakes. So just start them, I guess, if they've got the upside. F2, I think it's Jermaine Jordan. So it looks like he'll get a few CBAs with all their outs, and has a nice run early, and 126, I think it was 124, 126 average in the VFL, which we like. So big accumulator. I'm like, this is a bit of a weird pick. I'm not like, it looks like it'll be mostly wing, especially when they get their plays back after the first month, but we'll kind of just assess like how he goes. So we know that he can do 75 plus on the wing, so maybe with a bit of inside time and less point sharing, we can get a bit more from him. So very popular for a reason. Don't have Nat 5. Thought about it, it's been in and out, but I think when I had to make space for other players, that was the one I gave away for. I think it's just a very, very high durability risk. And just look at his stats. It doesn't really tackle, doesn't really take marks, all inside contested handball. So good for SuperCoach, but you got to score in other ways too. You can't like score 100 every week doing 20 handballs a game. So plus management risk, I think he's a fine pick. Like, not against the pick at all for that price and with his role, but like I'm hoping it doesn't hurt me too much if he goes off. So I'm going to pass. I think I like other options a bit better. Like, for example, James Jordan averaged 126 in the VFL. You put Fife in the VFL, like I don't think he'd average 80 for fantasy anyway. Talking fantasy numbers there. So Fife's fantasy numbers have been pretty terrible. So he's not in for me. Don't have Flanders as well. I think Flanders, we'll see with round 0, but this one kind of threw me because I've caught him like a non-negotiable lock for basically 4 months straight. And you see Dimmer making these comments, get him to SuperCoach team. The CBAs I thought would be 50-60%, not 30. And without CBAs, how does he go under a new system? Plus he has the bye. Maybe we just wait this one out. But if I was doing forward rankings, he'd be F1 or F2 still at the moment. So we're going to pass on him for now. The next player I have, I think it's Billings. I can't remember if I'm missing someone. But yes, we have Jack Billings, been in my team all preseason, and he's staying there. And he's done 80 to 90 in the past. Good job security, I think, and he looks good and full preseason. So he's in, and happy with that. So I do like Billings. I'm a believer in Billings. I think it's legendary lore of what happened 4 or 5 years ago with Billings. If you're not aware, I'll tell it quickly. You weren't playing back then. Billings was around 30% ownership, expecting a bit more mid-time, and he was 500k, and yeah, 30% ownership for 500k. People thought he was the great forward option. As a forward, great option, and had a big preseason. And his confidence, something severely happened to his confidence. He scored 130 in the first week, and then after that, he was dropping 50s and 60s like every single week, to the point where he was looking like a premium. I think he dropped in the low 300s or even high 200s. He was going that bad. He went to the VFL. They dropped him. Had 50 touches. Everyone trades him out. That held strong. Comes back into the team, averages 90 for the rest of the season. So you can have a look at those stats, but it's pretty funny how that played out. It was literally, I didn't have him, fortunately, but that would have been the most frustrating owner, especially if you jumped on after round 1. It would have been like the worst possible scenario of all time for trading in, because you never really, like, kind of hoping you turned it around, but people held. But anyway, that's enough on Jack Billings. Half forward wing role. We want more half forward, but hopefully he can do 80 plus, and I think he can. Oh, we got Harley Reid too. So, yeah, we're picking Reid. Obviously, a bit of a, I don't know if concern's the right word, but wasn't great on his debut practice game. And I did like him a bit more in the midfield than the defense line. Was able to use his fend off and create space. And yeah, he just looked really good in the midfield, apply pressure, and the Crows players were getting stuck into him. So he handled that pretty well. A lot of pressure on him. Probably more pressure than I've ever seen any player. It's pretty unfair, but hopefully it goes well and we'll pick him. I still think he can do well off half back, but he looked a little bit lost at half back last week, and there's no cohesion with the back line, but certainly looks better in the midfield to my eye, and hopefully he stays there. But the job security and role and the talent is just right in front of us, so you got to take it, I think. Glad we got another look at him. The next player we have is only 15%. We'll go Lazaro. So he's been in and out of the team, and just reading a lot of reports throughout the preseason. Apparently coaches love him, and he's had a great preseason. You can sort of see why he's been in the VFL mostly, because it does stuff up some fundamentals like basic handballs and kicks. So yeah, a bit of a question on like if he's going to end up an AFL player, but I think he did 110 fantasy in the VFL, and he looks good to me. Like ball winning ability looks pretty good, and might have to play off half forward a bit. And I think they've drafted all these mids, and that 2020 draft, Powell, Lazaro, Phillips, it's that whole draft. Like there was a lot of poor players that have underperformed in that draft, so the draft isn't looking great. I don't know what the future is for Lazaro. Is he going to be like a permanent CBA mid one day? Is he just going to be mid forward? I think Power probably struggled a bit, also got moved around, which I don't think helps him. I think he needs to be like stuck in the midfield and see how he goes. Power's a pretty good user of the ball, but yeah, just struggles to get involved in games sometimes. Phillips is a concern for them, I think. I think Lazaro is ahead of Phillips, which gives me a bit more confidence in the Lazaro pick. So Lazaro's in. And then the next player we have, I think everyone will have the same F6 role, F5 if you like, is Alex Sexton, halfback role. Is he best 22? Looks like a Dimmer, sort of Dimmer's peak sort of thing, Dimmer's move that he'll probably back in. So Sexton's in, can't really pass at him. So if he like doesn't work in the role, then whatever, trade him out when that comes. But all the kick-ins and stuff, so he could become a keeper. It wouldn't surprise me, but we'll see. Be interesting. This year will be like, I know those years ago we had like Impey and stuff, and forward line was pretty weak, and Nick Hind kind of weren't sure who was keeper, who was not. So when these like speculative picks have down patches, it'll be testing to see whether they're actually going to be keepers or if they're going to just like continue to go bad. But we'll see if we get TPPs and stuff. Next player is, this guy killed it, Darcy Wilson. So yeah, he looks fantastic. Seems to be wrapped. Half forward, massive engine, runs out the game well, damaging by foot. Was on the weekend anyway, so I'll probably keep him at bay on the bench, even though he scored well. It was against North. I think round 1 they played Geelong in Geelong, which I don't love. Well, Geelong probably aren't that good. Just the ground is a bit harder to play on, a bit smaller. So he's off outside-ish players, but you got to pick him. DPP's fantastic too. So he's in. How much money do we have? So the next, I'm not sure I'm set on this. So there's one player I really, really liked, and I have him in the other 2 formats, but I'm just short in this format, is McNeil. I think he's their specialist forward, and he played so well in the past 2 games. So I think, yeah, he'll be their best small forward, I think. Because really, Waitman's not really small, and West is like kind of, I don't know, if you consider him small or not. Medium, I don't know. But McNeil looks like that coming forward that can push up the ground a bit too. So he's 160k. I'm not going to move mountains for 160k small forward, but I just really, really like him. But he's had to make way because there's so many rookies to pick, and hopefully we pick the right ones. And the final rookie I have, another guy I was really, really impressed with, and I don't know if I made the right choice here because I might just go Cadman. Might have missed it. %3 owned. Dempsey. Loved his game on the weekend. Scored really well. Was getting up the ground. Finding space and even a few inside 50s too. So Dempsey's in. So that's that. But yeah, that's the team. I'm not quite sure. I think it's set. Like, we'll see what happens with round 0 if Grundy. I'll need to come up with a plan if I feel like I have to pick Grundy. But I think we'll just go English Gorn. That way we don't, by injury, we don't have to use any trades in the ruck. Start Bont, start Dacos, start the pillars of the team. Pick Errol. I mean, I think I would rather Dawson with no buy, but I don't have the money for that. I have to go Gibcus out to Pink. And Gibcus gets the early price rise. And I think Gordon's going to be tough at Antipod early days, but yeah. Can't be like, I don't know. Bit of a weird role for Errol. Probably be like a 50-50 mid, but he did say he wanted to play more inside mid this year, but I think that will happen early. I don't know what that happens when like Parker and Adams and Mills come back. Although Mills is a long way away. That's the team. We'll do a quick update for round 0 when if we make any changes. But I hope you like it. If you don't, just let me know. That's fine. Any questions you have I missed any players? And yeah, thank you for watching. And excited for the season. And we'll see you guys in the next one.